What up, y'all? On today's video, I'm going to be talking about colorism and white privilege in the music industry. Y'all ready? It's lit.
I came to vibe, you came to function, just do that, baby. Don't worry about nothing, no. I came to vibe, you came to function, just do that, baby. Don't worry about nothing, no. Relax just a little bit. You don't gotta worry.
Yeah. What up, everybody? It's your boy Bright here, the R&B kid, and you're tuned into another episode of On the Bright Side. If this is your first time on my channel, please go ahead and click that like button right there, or right there if you're on the phone. Share this video, and if you like this video, you enjoy the content. If you watch the whole thing and you enjoy it, please go ahead and consider subscribing to my channel, okay? On this channel, I talk all things music and entertainment while I always keeping things positive and always find the bright side of everything. Okay, y'all, so happy Black History Month. Happy Black History Month, one of my favorite times of the year. This is a month where I and also all of my people and just everybody in the world should be reflecting on the beauty of Black people in our history and what we've contributed to, you know, just the world in general. I could go on and on about Black history and what it means and why you should care about it, and you know, just the importance of this time in general. But I'm not gonna go on and on for this video. But what I do want to do is talk about something that's near and dear to my heart, which is something I've been thinking about talking about for a while on my channel, but I've not found really the right time or the right way to approach it. But I put my thoughts together, and I finally went ahead and, you know, put my thoughts together for this video, and I feel like this is the right time to talk about this, especially with Black History Month being right now, and also coming off of the Justin Timberlake performance at the Super Bowl this past Sunday. I really feel like this is a good time to kind of talk about this issue and to kind of share my thoughts on it, and you know, just to get the conversation started, okay? So on this video, like I said, I'm gonna be talking about colorism and white privilege in the music industry. This problem really runs deep throughout all of entertainment. It runs deep in the movie industry, it runs deep in all types of sectors of the entertainment industry, but I think it's most prevalent in the music industry, and the music industry is where I have the most knowledge of it, so I kind of want to just talk about it within the confines of the music industry itself. So all that being said, let's go ahead and start talking about this issue of colorism and white privilege in the music industry, okay? Y'all ready? Let's go. Okay, y'all, so the first thing I wanted to talk about with this issue, I kind of wanted to touch on Justin Timberlake performing at the Super Bowl this past Sunday. So Justin Timberlake performed for the third time at the Super Bowl this past Sunday for Super Bowl 52. And it's interesting to me. I thought this was the perfect time to talk about this issue because Justin Timberlake, I think we can all agree, had a very mediocre performance at the Super Bowl. I'm not going to go into depth about his performance because there have been, you know, scathing reviews left and right from all types of journalists and, you know, music reviewers and stuff like that, and YouTubers, and I don't want to touch on it because everyone else and their mom has talked about it. But as we all know, his performance was very mediocre and very weak. And I feel like it's important to talk about Justin Timberlake because Justin Timberlake is one of the few artists where I've never looked at him as someone I've been offended by with his kind of, I don't want to say appropriation, but his use of Black and R&B music influences in his own catalog, because he always started out making R&B music, so he never ever kind of came off as I'm gonna be a pop artist and ride the R&B bandwagon whenever I want to. Justin Timberlake is an artist who really started out making R&B music in his own way. And so I never have faulted Justin Timberlake for being a white artist who, you know, quote unquote appropriates Black culture for that reason. But it's interesting how I feel like even with how terrible his Super Bowl performance was, this really will just be a very small and short blemish on Justin Timberlake's career and as a whole. And people honestly forget about this performance, I bet you, in a few weeks and months. And Justin Timberlake can go on to keep promoting his album, and he can go on to keep on having a successful career. One, because he's a white man. Two, because he's non-threatening. And he's had a very lucky run of success from his first album up until now. And also because there's a natural lower threshold held. I don't even want to say for white female artists, but especially for white male artists, there's a lower threshold held for expectations and on the need to deliver. And when I say that because Justin Timberlake is being rashed right now for how whack his performance was, but by this time next year, everybody will have forgotten about it. His album will have done well. It'll probably have a lot of successful singles and videos and promo. He'll probably be nominated for a lot of Grammys come in this November. So I really don't see this being a big blemish in Justin's career, but it's sad because if it were to have been Beyonce or an artist of color or just a female artist who had a really underwhelming and mediocre performance compared to what they were expected to do, that impact would have lasted a lot longer in their career. Mainly someone like Beyonce or Katy Perry or Lady Gaga. Let any of those women or people of color, Bruno Mars, had they had a really bad Super Bowl performance, they would have had more time to hear about it than I think Justin Timberlake ever will past the upcoming weeks and months ahead. So that's the first thing I kind of wanted to touch about it when it comes to this colorism and white privilege issue. It's sad that an artist like Justin Timberlake will be able to recover from this big fumble in his career, which was this really mediocre Super Bowl performance. But an artist of color and female artists are not exactly given that privilege to be able to have bad performances, and people just be like, oh yeah, it was whack for the few weeks and months after it happened, but then forget about it a long time after the fact. So mark my words, I bet you by this time next year you will have forgotten that Justin Timberlake had a bad performance, and you will not care because you'll keep supporting him and you'll keep loving him. And as a Justin Timberlake fan, I want to say this is not a dig at Justin Timberlake. And also, disclaimer, this video is not about me hating white artists. I have a bunch of white artists I love, and if you know me, my friends who know me in real life, they know like I said before on my channel, I love everybody. I don't have any problem with white people or whatever, but this is a video to highlight a very serious issue, and Justin Timberlake I feel like is a good example of this issue right now. So I wanted to talk about him first, but mainly kind of moving on into this topic, I really wanted to address the fact that, especially in this time period right now we're living in, there are a lot of artists, and it's funny, as the tides of music are turning to finally having hip-hop being the dominant genre of music, and R&B is not the dominant genre of R&B music like it used to be in the 90s and the early 2000s, but R&B is kind of making its way back up, kind of off of the coattails of hip-hop right now. But besides that, black music being kind of more popular than it's ever been, it's pretty much, hip-hop is dominating streaming and sales numbers across the board in the music industry. In this time period we're living in right now, it's never been a better time period for a lot of white artists, or at least non-black artists, to kind of, I don't want to say appropriate, because I don't think that's the right label for what every artist does, but I want to say and be influenced by and kind of take elements of black music or hip-hop music or R&B music and infuse it into their own current releases. I want to list off a few artists that are doing this, and I want to start the conversation, and let me know what you guys think about all these artists I'm naming. Mainly I want to name Demi Lovato, Miley Cyrus, Jessie J, Zara Larsson somewhat, Katy Perry is a big one, Charlie Puth is a big one, even though I love Charlie Puth, Bruno Mars, and Kelly Clarkson. All of these artists I just named, there are probably many more that I can't think of, but all these artists I just named are artists who have recently released albums or will be releasing albums at some point this year that are drenched in, or I don't want to say drenched in, but that are taking a lot of influences from R&B and soul music. None of these artists are really borrowing from hip-hop because they're all pop artists, but all these artists I just named are artists who have pretty much been labeled as pop artists from the start of their career. And now in 2017, 2018, this time period right now where hip-hop and black music are more popular than ever, and we're seeing that because of streaming numbers and sales numbers, all these artists are taking elements of R&B and soul music and putting it into their latest albums. Demi Lovato, I put her as having one of the top pop albums of 2017 in that video where I talked about my favorite albums of 2017. Go check out that video. And even though I labeled her as having one of the best pop albums of 2017, Kelly Clarkson was also on my list at number 2. To be honest, both Demi Lovato and Kelly Clarkson both had albums that really were honestly R&B albums. The only reason they were able to be labeled as pop albums is because they were by artists who are white, and also by artists who started out their careers as pop artists. So And let me see, Bruno Mars. Bruno Mars started, I talked about this in my Grammy recap video. Go check out that video. Bruno Mars is a pop artist who now finally transitioned to making an R&B album with the 24 Karat Magic album when it came back out in 2016. But for Bruno Mars' first two albums, they were pop albums that had influences of R&B and soul, but really were more pop, and they were marketed to the pop lane and to the pop audiences and to pop radio. This latest album from Bruno Mars was a great album. I love the 24 Karat Magic album. I enjoy it. You know, bops on bops from head to toe. It's an amazing album. And Bruno Mars is a very humble and amazing artist who I don't think tries to be contrived with his influences of R&B music. He's very authentic with it. But I'm bringing about this issue because Bruno Mars is someone, as he's not a fully black artist, who is easily able to jump between genres, and he's able to jump between vibes from project to project and from song to song. And he has that privilege too, as an artist who does not look fully black, but who has some color in him, who has, you know, who can hit a two-step, who has some soul, who has a gritty, soulful voice. But at the end of the day, it's very non-threatening because he's not a fully black artist, and which translates to him being more marketable. So kind of going back to Demi Lovato and Kelly Clarkson, like I said, they also released two albums back in 2017 that were very, you know, rooted in soul and R&B music, but they were labeled as pop albums, and they were put in the pop category of the iTunes store, which obviously has more people looking on that page compared to the R&B page in the iTunes store, which is a conversation, that's a whole other conversation for another day. But you know, this issue sparked something within me, because as an R&B lover and as an R&B head, and as someone who's so proud of black people and what we are and what we've contributed to life and just what we contribute to music and entertainment as a whole, and as someone who also loved the Demi Lovato album and the Kelly Clarkson album, they were amazing albums, and I love those artists. I still have to highlight the fact that it's not fair that Demi Lovato and Kelly Clarkson, as well as the other artists I named like Jessie J, Katy Perry, Charlie Puth, Charlie Puth is about to put out his album in May, and it's gonna be a very soulful R&B album from a white artist who started out in pop. It's just the truth. Katy Perry released an album that was full of R&B and hip hop features and had a lot of R&B and hip hop influences in a lot of the singles. She had Skip Marley, Bob Marley's grandson, and on her first single. She got Migos and Nicki Minaj on the album, and it probably Witness was probably her most blackest album in a sense. From the features, from the arrangements to the sonics, a lot of it was very black. And I say this because, like I said, there's no better time for a white artist who has been wanting to try out R&B and soul music to do it, and a lot of artists are doing it. I remember watching a clip recently where Dua Lipa was on the Grammy carpet, on the Grammy red carpet backstage, and I love Dua Lipa. Dua Lipa is an amazing sweetheart artist. She's amazing. Her new song, I Don't Give a Fuck, I love that song, and I love New Rules. It's amazing. But she was saying on that interview that she really wants to try out soul and R&B music because she feels like it fits her voice, and she feels like she wants to try out that style of music. And I know that whenever Dua Lipa does come out with her next album, and if it is more soulful and R&B-ish, I know she's gonna kill it because her voice really does sound good for more soulful music. But Dua Lipa is a white artist, and the other side of this argument is that there are so many artists who are black and who make R&B music and who have started out making R&B music from the jump of their careers, from the start of their careers, like a 7th Streeter, or like a Tinashe, or like a K. Michelle, or like a Fantasia, or a Jasmine Sullivan. So, you know, I can name so many other artists who have started their careers making R&B music and will continue to make R&B music for the rest of their careers, but they do not have the same privilege and same advantage to be able to kind of dibble and dabble in other genres as their white or non-black counterparts, and it's not fair. This is an issue that really stems at the systematic level, but even as consumers and fans of music, we can talk about this issue and we can bring it to light, and we can get the conversation started. You know, with this video, I really wanted to challenge you to think about a lot of the artists you love and a lot of the projects you love, mainly in hip-hop and R&B and pop, and really think about, especially your favorite artists you love who are white or non-black. Think about how much the music has really changed within the past few years compared to the early releases. Excuse me. and think about how easy it is for them to label or claim that they're making R&B and soulful music with their latest releases, while think about how much your favorite black artists whose careers are rooted in making hip-hop and R&B music, think about how much those artists are able to kind of flip-flop, or just how much they're able to kind of glide between genres easily, as well as their white and non-black counterparts. So I just want you to think about that. This issue runs really deep, but I kind of just wanted to talk about those few artists as an examples of why why to me this is an issue that we need to address and think about in a more serious way, especially for our future generations. And a few artists I wanted to talk about that kind of come into the nuance of this issue are artists like Justin Timberlake and Robin Thicke and Daly. Those are three male. Actually, I'll say Travis Garland too. If you don't know who Daly and Travis Garland are, go look them up. They are amazing R&B artists, and they're both white men. Blue Eyed Soul is something we all know about. White artists who pretty much do R&B music. Justin Timberlake, Robin Thicke, Daly, Travis Garland. Those four guys I just named are all white men who pretty much from the beginning of their careers have proudly been making R&B and soul music, even though they are white men. And so I feel like those are artists as examples where I feel like they really show the nuance and how complicated this issue is, because there are a lot of white artists who are proud to be making R&B and hip-hop music. Post Malone making hip-hop music. He's proud to make hip-hop, even though he had a lot of fucked up statements about hip-hop, which I'm not going to talk about now, but you can go look them up. And when I read what Post Malone was saying about hip-hop, I was just like, really, bro? But at the end of the day, he's a white man making hip-hop music in his own way, and he's proud of his music, and he's proud of what he's doing, and he's finding success. So there are a lot of artists that kind of bring nuance into this issue, like the artists I just named. So I wanted to also point them out to show how complicated this issue is, because at the end of the day, I love Justin Timberlake, I love Daly, I love Travis Garland, I love Robin Thicke, and they are all guys who I don't exactly fault for making R&B and soul music, because they really had their careers rooted in it from the beginning. So it's not coming off as contrived or fake or capitalizing off of a moment in music or a trend. They really have stuck by the genre and what it symbolizes pretty much for the majority of their careers. So those I think are artists that are important to highlight in this issue. And I really want you guys to let me know what you think about the artists I just named, and let me know how you think they fit into this conversation. And do you think they help this conversation? Do you think they hurt this conversation? Do you think they don't matter? Let me know down in the comments below. Alright. Okay, so now kind of moving on to a different part of this conversation, I want to talk about Jasmine Sullivan versus Adele. I feel like those are two artists to compare that I feel like really exemplify what's at the core of this argument. Jasmine Sullivan, to me, a lot of people have said that if you follow a lot of music blogs over the years, a lot of music blogs and music reviewers and connoisseurs and journalists have talked about these two artists in particular, and I feel like they actually are great. They're a great pair of artists to compare and use for this argument. Because in my opinion, they both came out around the same time, which is like 2008, 2009-ish. Jasmine Sullivan and Adele both came out around the late 2000s, around the same time, and they both are heavier women, no shade, but they just are heavier women who make soul music, who both have beautiful voices, intimate albums that really have, had that house amazing songwriting, amazing emotion, and they're both just two, in my opinion, they're both two of the greatest, I kind of want to say like vocalists and soul chanteuses of their time in different lanes. Jasmine Sullivan really holds down that R&B, traditional R&B soul lane, whereas Adele really is able to go into more of the pop and adult contemporary lane. But I compare them because at the end of the day, while Adele has never labeled herself as an R&B artist, we all know that Adele's music is very rooted in soul, just the emotion of soul music and the feeling. So we all know Adele gives that at the end of the day, which is not a bad thing. She's able to do it, she's able to do it well, but she does it at the end of the day. And Jasmine Sullivan is pretty much the same thing, but she proudly puts on for the R&B genre, but she also kind of has no choice because she is a very dark-skinned black woman. So there have been a lot of people that have said over the years that there's no reason why Jasmine Sullivan should not be where Adele is in terms of success and clout and relevancy. And I fully agree. And to me, the lack of relevancy, clout, and success that has evaded Jasmine Sullivan as the years have gone by, ever since both her and Adele have debuted in the music industry, I think to me is a perfect representation of what's wrong with colorism and just white privilege in the music industry. Adele is able to make she's able to make her own music. She can call it pop, she can call it adult contemporary, but at the end of the day, if you listen to her music, it's rooted in soul. But Jasmine Sullivan can do the same thing, but really make a music that's really more apparently R&B and soul infused, because she looks like a black woman. So she has to make that music because the music industry will not allow an artist like Jasmine Sullivan, a heavier, dark-skinned black woman, to start making pop music or adult contemporary music and label it as being authentic to her. And unfortunately, Jasmine Sullivan's career has been at a standstill for a long time. And people in the black community love her. Jasmine Sullivan, you're amazing, boo. People in the black community love her, but she's not been able to achieve that worldwide success and clout like Adele has. And they pretty much kind of make the same type of music. So while they are hard to compare because they're kind of like, they're on two different labels, they're handled by two different teams of people. You know, they're both two separate entities in the music industry, and everybody's situation is different in the music industry. You always have to consider that. But at the end of the day, they're a good comparison, because if the music industry was truly fair and running how it should, over the years, Jasmine Sullivan should have been able to have found a lot more success just off of her talent alone and her music alone, on the same level as Adele, who Adele honestly has not had to lift up a finger to find success in clout, because she's a white woman who makes very non-threatening, crowd-pleasing music that the masses have just adored and consumed for many years. And I feel like there's a revolving door of black female R&B artists who have just as much talent as someone like Adele, but have not been given the same opportunities and the same doorstops and the same chances for success as someone like Adele, because of their skin color and because they proudly make R&B music and are not apologetic for it and don't try to change that about themselves. So I just wanted to talk about those two women really quickly. Let me know what you think about Jasmine Sullivan and Adele down in the comment section. Let me know what you think about me comparing those two artists, and let me know how you think they factor into this conversation down in the comment section, okay? And the last thing I wanted to say about this topic between Jasmine Sullivan and Adele, to kind of wrap it all up, I remember I was watching an interview clip online, like I think back last year, where Stephanie Mills, she's the woman that sings, I believe she sings Home on the Wiz. If I got that wrong, I'm sorry, but Stephanie Mills is a revered soul singer from the I think from the past generation, and she had a lot of success in her heyday, and she was on, I think, a show called Sister Circle. I think that's Selena Johnson's show. It's an online web series, and she was saying, she said a quote that has still stuck with me to this day, and it's so on point. I never thought about it, but it's a perfect way to sum up this whole argument. She was talking about white artists making R&B music and how they're able to kind of get a pass, and they're able to shift between going back and forth between R&B and pop because they're allowed to, and they're able to easily as white artists. And she was saying they don't want R&B from us. She was saying they want R&B, but they don't want it from us. And I thought that quote was brilliant. Pretty much what she was saying was that, they, as in white people, music executives, studio executives, music publishers, marketing executives, all the people who press the green lights in the music industry, and most of them are white men. They want R&B music to be in the culture of music. They want R&B to have a contributing factor to the culture, but they don't want it from black artists. They want it from their own people. Again, like I said before, this is not an anti-white video. This is a video to bring about an issue that is very real. If you don't think it's real, then that's a problem. There's so many beautiful black R&B artists that are making music, that have made music in the past, and that are making music right now currently, that are beautiful, that are making amazing music. I could name artists for days and days and days, but I'm not gonna do that right now. I might make a video in the future about all the R&B artists I think who are out right now who are underrated, and that video can go on for a long time. But that quote was brilliant to me because she was pretty much just saying, listen, white men in power, she was saying they want R&B music. They want to do a two-step. They want to snap and groove. They want to feel that. They want to feel that emotion. They want to feel that vibe. They want to feel that music. They love it, but they'd rather see someone finding success off of that music and contributing to the culture of the music industry as a white person before they'll give these opportunities to our artists of color. So, and that's just the truth about it, because at the end of the day, Justin Timberlake and Adele are able to release pop albums that really are R&B albums, but they're labeled as pop, you know, given to pop radio, given to the pop audience, marketed as pop. You know, they're able to fly to the mainstream. But artists who are of color, who are dark-skinned, who are just black in general, that really make music just as good as those artists, if not better, they will never be given the same opportunities because they're not white, and because they might look threatening, or they might have a thing about them that a lot of labels and, you know, studio heads and marketing executives don't feel like will be readily, you know, ready to market them to the world. So that's just something we really need to talk about. So the next thing I wanted to talk about with this issue is kind of, I wanted to touch on, like I said, this is the perfect time to make this video because Matthew Knowles recently came out, Beyonce's daddy, Matthew Knowles recently came out and started talking about how Beyonce's only found success in her career because she's light-skinned. And a lot of people have come out with their own 2 cents about this argument. And a lot of people disagree, a lot of people agree. I want to say that I definitely agree with this statement. And a lot of people need to realize that by him saying that, it's not a dig to his daughter Beyonce. It's not a dig to Beyonce. It's just the truth about the issue. I have a very hard time imagining Beyonce being at the level she's at right now. And mind you, I grew up on Beyonce. I grew up on Beyonce since the day she came out as a solo artist. I still remember when I was young, I was like 9 years old, and Crazy in Love came on the TV, and I was like, yo, who the hell is this? Just like everybody else, I was like, who the hell is this chick killing it in this video with this bomb ass song that was all radio? It was the summer 2003. That was a great summer. And I've grown up on Beyonce. And I can't imagine her career being the same place it's at right now if she was dark-skinned. And that is not to say that Beyonce's not talented. It's not to say that she doesn't deserve to be where she's at right now. But the truth of the matter is that there's so much about Beyonce's career that you can directly attribute to her, you know, being light-skinned in terms of her success. Marketing-wise, promo-wise, it's so much easier. And it's so much more enticing for label heads and marketing executives, and to all these white men that really run the music industry behind the scenes. It's so much easier for them to see a light-skinned black woman that looks beautiful, and because they'll think she's more easier to market to white people. She's not dark-skinned, she's not as threatening, and she looks closer to white people than someone like a Jasmine Sullivan or a Fantasia, who is darker skinned, or like a Seven Streeter. And it's fucked up because Beyonce is one of the most talented, if not the most talented person in the music industry. That's a conversation for another day. But she's one of the most talented people in the music industry. So, and she was born with her skin tone. She was born. She had no choice. But if Beyonce had come out of the womb as a dark-skinned child, I don't think I would be able to see her level of success in her career right now as it stands right now. Simply when it comes to marketing and promotion, and not just mainly her as an artist and her talent, if that makes sense. So what Matthew Knowles said is very true. It's a very sad truth, but it's a very accurate truth. He was also saying, when was the last time you heard a female R&B artist on the radio who was dark-skinned? He said, look at all the artists that you love that are on the radio. Beyonce, Rihanna, Mariah Carey, they're all light-skinned. And he said, listen, it's not a coincidence. And it's true, it's not a coincidence. These things are purposely being done to keep up the stigma of, you know, light is right and white is right, and light-skinned artists being more marketable and promotable to the masses. Radio and marketing executives, they've kept up this shenanigan for the past few years to really put in our kids' faces that, listen, The only type of black people that are to be promoted to the mainstream, and to show the black side of music and what we contribute to music are light-skinned women. For the men, the issue does not run as rampant with the men. There are plenty of dark-skinned rappers and R&B singers who are finding success right now. So the issue does not relate solely to black men. And to artists of color who are men, but this issue runs really deeply for women in particular. I have to say, SZA, I think, might be the first dark-skinned woman in this entire decade, or not this entire decade, but in the past few years, who has found success on radio, being a darker-skinned black woman singing R&B music. Before SZA came along, let me know when was the last time you heard a song on the radio that was by a dark-skinned female R&B pop artist. Let me know. I think the last time I heard a song by a female R&B artist who was dark-skinned on the radio, I might be stretching it here, but I think it was Seven Streeters' It Won't Stop back in 2013. If you find a song before that, after that, let me know down in the comment section. I didn't think about this too deeply, but let me know what you think. But that was almost 5 years ago, if I'm correct. Every artist who was an R&B pop female artist has been light-skinned who's found success after that, before SZA. So that's a problem, because this issue wasn't, the next thing I want to say is that this issue wasn't really rampant in past generations. This issue has just really come about, I want to say, in this past decade, with the rise and the increase of the social media and digital age that we're living in right now. If you recently have heard about Amara La Negra, she's a cast member on Love and Hip Hop Miami. I don't watch the show, but I saw her interview on The Breakfast Club. And that was a great interview, by the way. Go check it out. She's pretty much spent the entire interview talking about colorism and how much it's affected her career and her clout in the music industry. She's found success in the Latin market of music, but she's had a hard time crossing over into the American market because a lot of promoters and label heads and stuff like that, they had a hard time letting her be herself. She's a very dark-skinned Latina woman. So she's not black. She's a Latino woman, but she looks black as hell. She's very dark-skinned. And there are a lot of Hispanic people that are dark-skinned. That's a very normal thing. But for people who are not exposed to that on a usual basis, it has allowed for a lot of white men in power to think that someone like Amara La Negra cannot be promotable and marketable to the American mainstream music audience, which is a very fucked up thing. But that's the reality of what we're dealing with right now in the music industry. Amara La Negra, I've not heard her sing, I've not heard her music, but if she's talented, which I think she will be, if she's talented, there's no reason why someone like her should not be able to get a shot at success if they have all the goods. Her skin color should have no type of inclination as to whether or not she should be promoted or given a shot at radio, promo, whatever. But that's our current reality. So, like I said, this issue, I kind of want to wrap it up by saying this issue really has only come about in this recent age, because in past generations we had many women of color who were darker skinned finding success and killing it on the charts, killing it in music. Brandy, let's see, Janet Jackson, Patti LaBelle, Gladys Knight, Aretha Franklin, Gladys Knight. Oh, there's so many amazing female R&B artists, plenty to name, who are finding, Whitney Houston, who are finding plenty of success in the music industry as darker skinned black female artists making real black ass R&B music. Because in that time period, marketing was still important, but that was also a time period where the music industry was really focused more on actual music and talent, and not just the smoke and mirrors behind the music and the talent of all of our artists. Yeah, so compared to a lot of the very popular black female R&B artists who are darker skinned of a previous generation, this generation has seen a sharp decline and sharp decrease in darker skinned female R&B artists who are finding success, and I think it directly correlates to the rise of our social media and digital information age that we're living in, where media and marketing is so much more relevant to music than it ever has been. And we're living in an age in the music industry where imagery and visuals, are so much more important than they've ever been. And I think that's a good thing because it allows us to kind of connect to our favorite artists more than we ever have, with music videos dropping left and right, and us being able to connect with our favorite artists and us being able to see artists more often visually. It's a good thing because it allows us to connect to our artists, but at the same time, it has allowed for a lot of artists to not get as much success as they deserve because the labels and marketing executives and just people in general who really run a lot of the ins and outs of the music industry see someone like Beyonce and Rihanna being way more marketable with their light skin and pretty eyes compared to someone like a Seven Streeter or Jasmine Sullivan, who with darker skin with just as much talent but more of a risk to promote because of a supposed potential lack of love for those artists, which I don't think it actually exists, and I don't think that makes sense. But I think that's the fear that a lot of label heads and studio heads and marketing executives have, and that's the conversation that we need to start having, and that's the conversation that I really want to push with this video. So yeah, and the last thing, to kind of leave this video on a positive note, I'm Mr. On the Bright Side. So the bright side of this whole argument, and the good thing about this whole argument and the good thing about this issue is how much I feel like the consumers how much I feel the consumer and the average music fan can do to solve this issue on their part and on their own accord. When I say that, I mean, labels and music studios and executives and marketing companies, they really are the ones who I think have perpetuated and made this issue more worse than it's ever been in the past few years. I want to say ever since this, we came up in this like social media digital age. Those groups have made this issue worse than it ever has been in the past, and they are a big part of the problem. But we are also living in an age, because of streaming and because of social media, we are living in an age more than ever where we really have more of the power than we've ever had back in our hands to give love and to support and to really help artists of color who are amazingly talented, who are producing beautiful bodies of work. We're really able to help those artists really find success. The everyday music fan and the everyday music consumer can really be a big part of the solution to ending this problem for good and for future generations. And I think, especially in the past few years, streaming has risen exponentially. People don't buy music anymore. People are streaming left and right. The radio is not really as relevant as it used to be to the success of an artist. So radio is still there, but it's not contributing to success as much as it used to have, as much as it used to. And streaming is so important because not only is streaming one of the main vehicles of music consumption these days, but also streaming is a tool that allows you to support and play whatever artist you want. It's not the labels shoving an artist in your face and saying, hey, this is the new it girl, this is the new it guy, this is the new dope artist that you need to check out, or this is the new album from a legend that's out that you should check out. It's not radio playing the same song 30 times a day to get it ingrained in your head. Streaming allows for you to surf the market yourself and figure out what you want and figure out what you like. And while it's hard because there's so much music out there that it's hard for everyone to kind of sift through and figure out what they want, on the flip side and on the bright side of that, it finally gives any music fan the ability to stream their favorite artists as much as they want and just give love to their favorite artists as much as they want. Play them all day if you want. And that no one's gonna come kill you for streaming your favorite artist 50 times in one day, and you can do that easily. And I think that's what's going to allow for the music industry, especially in the next couple of years and in the next couple of decades, if streaming continues to be the main force of that drives music consumption, that finally gives the average music fan and consumer like me the ability to really support artists of color and not allow music industry politics and music industry political and marketing and visual imagery bullshit to cloud their judgment on who they want to fuck with. So I encourage you, the average music consumer, music fan, unless you're racist, if you're racist, But if you're not racist and you love a dark-skinned female R&B artist, an artist of color, like the Hers and the Seven Streeters, the Jasmine Sullivans, the Fantasias of the world, the Brandys of the world, the Kelly Rowlands of the world, you know, like I said, this issue doesn't exactly hurt the men as much. It's still an issue with them, but not as much. Then again, look at the fact that Chris Brown and Drake are probably two of the most popular artists in black music. Or Chris Brown for R&B and then Drake for hip hop, and they are light skinned. But I don't think the issue is as deep with men. But like I was saying, I really just feel like any artist you love, go and support them, go stream them, go buy them if you still want to. I still encourage you to buy music. I still buy music from time to time for artists or albums that I love. I think it's important to do. And that's really the only way you really can support your favorite artists, is to go buy and stream them. If you don't buy or stream, you have no way of using your voice to support artists that you love, who you feel like should be finding success in the mainstream. So yeah, that's why I want to leave this video off. You know, go support your favorite artists. Go support dark-skinned female R&B artists. They're a dying breed in the music industry, not because they're not talented, not because they're not great women, but because of music industry politics and music industry bullshit. And I really want to use this video to highlight this issue, and I really hope that from hearing what I'm talking about, that you'll take more of an active role in streaming, supporting, buying concert tickets for your favorite artists, regardless of their color, regardless of their tone of their skin, regardless of the music, just regardless of the music genre and the music style. Just go support who you love. But when we do that, I think we will see a more balanced music industry, where we have so many different types of artists finding success and getting love, and not just a certain type of artist and a certain demographic of artists finding that level of success. Okay, but that's just where I want to end off this video. Yeah. Okay guys, but that's been my video about colorism and white privilege in the music industry. I know I've blabbled a lot, but I really this topic has been on my heart for a long time, so I kind of wanted to put out this video, especially during Black History Month. I thought this was the perfect time to put out this video. Let me know what you guys thought about my thought piece. Let me know what you guys thought about what I was saying. If you agree with my comments, let me know down in the comment section. If you disagree, let me know as well. I just really wanted to start the conversation, and I really wanted to kind of see how other people felt about this issue on my channel. Okay, so please like this video if you haven't already. If you enjoy what I said, like this video, share this video. I really want you guys to share this video more than all my other videos I've ever done. Share this video, because I really want to get this conversation started, and I really want to figure out what other people think about this issue. And also, if there's points that people think I missed, or if there's any other solutions that I might have missed or I didn't touch on, let me know down in the comment section as well. I'd love to hear if you guys thought I missed anything, okay? But like I always say, guys, thank you for watching. Continue to live your best life. Drink more water. Stay woke. And if you're mad or sad, go listen to your favorite song, okay? To make you feel better, go listen to your favorite song. But again, thank you for watching, guys. I appreciate it. This has been your boy Bright, the R&B Kid, and I am signing off, baby. We out, y'all. Bye.
I came to vibe, you came to function, just do that, baby. Don't worry about nothing, no, 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 no. I came to vibe, you came to function, just do that, baby. Don't worry about nothing, no, no, no. Relax just a little bit. You don't gotta worry, you can just have fun.